It has been 1 full year now since I left my full-time, safe, predictable job. So I thought I would share with you what I've learned from a year of going self-employed. The good, the ugly, the pros and cons. And I wanted to share with you my experience of what I've taken away from being self-employed. Hopefully this video can help you make a more informed decision as to whether setting up a business of your own is the right decision for you. What I would ask from you though is to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you get any value from today's video. For some context, I've been employed my entire life up until December 2021. I've worked in bars, I've worked in the corporate world, and I've even worked in the public sector. I've experienced low paid work, average paid work, and now even paying myself, covering all bases except for being rich. But I'm still working on that one. So hopefully I have a fair and rounded view of what it's like to be self-employed in comparison to being a PAYE worker. And in this video, I'm going to give you what I believe to be the top 3 pros and the top 3 cons of being self-employed, to give you a taster of what it's actually like. So let's start with the cons. Long hours. All of my self-employed friends pretty much unanimously say the same thing. It is very, very hard to switch off. You tend to stretch out what needs to be done across a full day rather than the hours of 9 to 5 because there isn't a clock in and clock out time. Your brain never really clocks out and it's easy to slip into a state of always feeling like something needs to be done now. That's definitely true for me anyway. When I worked for other companies, sure, there'd be times where I stayed late or did some overtime when needed, but most of the time there was nothing that was so pressing that couldn't wait until the next day. When you're self-employed though, your income generally correlates with the work and effort that you put in. And this definitely is true in the beginning. For me, taking the leap into the self-employed life meant learning things I didn't know how to do, using accounting software, setting up a company, learning tax basics, learning how to create content and edit it on YouTube. What I do know though is if I was aware of today's video sponsor, Awesome, back then, I would have had a much less stressful time. If you're starting a company, then you can cross business setup admin off your to-do list. Awesome has that covered. They'll get your business name reserved, your business registered, and pre-approval on a business bank account. Zero paperwork, zero hassle. So why outsource this to Awesome? Well, they're the only guys who will give you a literal human being at the end of the phone with any questions to help you get set up. Kind of like a startup wingman. You even get a dedicated expert at any time through live chat or just one phone call away. And right now they are offering just £12 company registration, which includes opening a business bank account. So if you're thinking of starting a business, let Awesome sort the registration and launch your company today. Okay, the second con, and one that I think of on a regular basis: social isolation. And I guess the clue's in the name, self-employed. You are likely to spend a lot of time by yourself in your underwear, typing away at a laptop. This can make you feel pretty lonely. And if you're prone to negative emotion and bottling stuff up, this can definitely be a problem. And this is the benefit of being in an office or a team at work. You have people around you who can help and support you, or just somebody to have a conversation with. And that being said, there are always ways to mitigate this. You can work in shared spaces, which is what I try to do at least once a week. You surround yourself with like-minded people who are self-employed, people who can help you and give you a sense of team, even though they're not in your team. And maybe you can even pick up some business by networking. You're going to need to force yourself out there, otherwise motivation can slide pretty quickly and you can get stuck in your own head. There's one thing we've learned from the pandemic, is that social isolation is real. So you need to be aware of it and take action. And the last con for me is that things are unpredictable. You're going to have to learn how to manage money better, which I would argue is obviously a good thing. For most self-employed people, there tends to be income seasons. Some months or quarters will be better than others. And you can smooth this out by having a business emergency fund in place, just to act as a bit of a buffer, which is certainly something I would do and recommend. This unpredictability is most concerning to people in the beginning stages of the business, as you might have more outgoings than you have money coming in. And that's why it's usually best practice to have a transition period before leaving safe employment and turning a side hustle into your full-time self-employed life. For me personally, I worked at least 1 or 2 hours every day after work before I left. I really enjoyed this stage because any income that I got on top of my actual regular employment felt like a bit of a bonus. business. And as I managed to build that up, it gave me the confidence to then take the leap. And actually, I think this is the main reason why people don't want to be self-employed, because it just seems too unpredictable. It certainly does take a certain type of person to be able to remain highly motivated to continuously look for new clients or business opportunities or create content to keep the income coming in. That being said, I wouldn't previously have described myself as that sort of person, and I managed to change my mindset. So that should be motivation for you that anybody can do it. Okay, let's look on the flip side. The positives. By far the biggest change in my life this year has been flexibility and the independence that I have now around working. Although I may be working longer hours and at strange times, although saying that, night shifts are pretty strange, I've had the ability to some degree to pick and choose when I work. If I want to go to the gym one morning, it just means that I stay a little bit later on at work to make sure I get all the important work done. And enough time, of course, is pretty subjective. And I'm still learning to prioritize most of the tasks that I think are the most important and remind myself that those trivial tasks can wait. A huge driving force for me becoming self-employed was to be able to spend more time with my daughter Isla and partner Georgie. This year I've taken my daughter to school and picked her up pretty much every single day. Something that whether or not she appreciates now, I'm sure in the future is going to have a lasting impact on our relationship together. Also having the ability to go work in a coffee shop or get a gym session in when most people are sat at their laptops at work is something that I need to remind myself I'm very privileged to have. Secondly, there is no limit to what you can earn. And this is one that the 9-to-5 grind blinds most people from. Feeling like you're worth whatever your current employer is paying you is a true glass ceiling that feels really hard to break through. But being self-employed means you are in charge of what comes in and what comes out, which yes, is certainly daunting, but it also provides endless possibilities. You are able to create passive income streams, outsource, hire people, leverage the internet, all the things that a company you worked for would benefit from if you're employed by a corporation. And by doing it for yourself, you open up so many more doors for income. It's both exciting and scary at the same time. There's a big reason why I advocate having an emergency fund for your personal finances as well as your business finances. You need that buffer just in case things slow down coming in. And the final pro for me is the ability to pay less tax. Perhaps a controversial one to those that deem paying less tax as a negative thing. However, I'm a firm believer that you should not be paying more tax than you need to. And although the autumn budget made changes to the dividend and corporation tax, which sadly affects small businesses once again, a good accountant can explain the most tax efficient way to pay yourself through a business. This means that you aren't at the mercy of PAYE, national insurance, pensions, student loan payments, or anything else that you have no control of that leaves your pay before it reaches your bank account. Most small businesses that are limited companies, including me, pay themselves a salary that's on the threshold of paying income tax. Currently, that's £12,751 per year. And then any money taken above that is usually taken in the form of dividends, where you pay 8.75% tax as a basic rate taxpayer, and then that jumps up to 33.75 and 39.35 respectively for the next brackets up in tax. And as you can see here, from 2017 to 2023, the dividend allowance, meaning the amount of dividends that you can take from either stocks you own or pay yourself as a director of a limited company, has reduced from £5,000 to £2,000 annually. From April 23, the dividend allowance is going to get slashed to £1,000 and then to £500 in 2024. And even though small business owners like myself are getting hit hard with these new laws, I still like the ability to decide how much I pay myself and the flexibility it provides. What it does mean though is you need to be smarter about what you do, and I would highly recommend speaking to an accountant to help you with your specific financial situation, especially if you're looking to go self-employed. Now, this list is not exhaustive. There are many more arguments for both sides, but I wanted to share my main points that I think will be the most helpful. Let me know in the comments below what you think about going self-employed or some of the pros or cons that you can think of. Remember to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when I release future videos, and I'll see you next time.